Welcome to the Candidates Podcast. Today I've got none other than Keegan Orzechowski.
You got it.
Did I get that right?
You got it.
Good. I was a little worried about that one. Hey, Keegan, how's it going?
Good. How you doing?
I'm doing great. Thanks for coming today.
Yep.
I know you're a busy guy. You got kids, you got life, you got everything. Would you mind taking a minute and just kind of introducing yourself? Let everybody know a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, I'm Keegan Orzechowski. Kind of went up through the Wilson School District, since first grade on through.
So you're a bulldog.
Bulldog through and through, right? And then I went to Penn State, got a biotechnology degree, and then my wife and I chose to move back to Wilson and raise our family here. So I have 3 boys in the system.
That's great. I imagine with a degree like that, you could have gone anywhere, and you made a choice to come back to Wilson.
Yes.
Hometown, huh?
Yep. We definitely wanted to live in Wilson.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's great. Are you happy with that decision so far?
For the most part, we have been, right? But there's at times, especially in the last few years, I think that's part of why I'm doing this thing, right?
Well, that's one of the questions I did want to talk to you about a little bit. Has this been like a life goal? Like when you were figuring out what you wanted to do as you grew up, was being a school director one of your dreams?
No, not in the slightest. Not a fan of politics and all the nonsense that goes along with it, right? But I found myself, watching school board meetings, getting more involved throughout the pandemic, right? We all had more time, and watching them and going to some school board meetings, and I disagreed with a lot of what I was hearing, right? And it got to the point where instead of just complaining, I said, okay, what can I do, right? And this opportunity presented itself, right, as a way to do it. And not that I would love to do this job, right? I volunteered a few things, but I think it's critically important to our community. Right?
I agree, and I appreciate that. I really do. So what do you think are the top issues that you're going to be facing once you win the election?
Right. I think everyone's aware there's an academic performance decline, right? And that's part of that can be blamed on the pandemic, right? That's across the board everywhere. But Wilson was having some issues before the pandemic, and now we're seeing that downward trend. It's concerning. And that's, again, there's some messaging from current board members of just stay the course and just, we'll get there. But when you see those trends on a graph, I don't share that sentiment, right? I think we need to make some changes. We have the ability to make changes. Why not try something different to right that ship?
That makes a lot of sense. It really does. So if you we're forwarding ourselves to, you've been elected, you're sitting at the table, you've got all the people around you, the parents get their 3 minutes to talk at you. What are you going to do different? What would you like to see change from day one?
One of the biggest issues with me is the respectful community engagement, right? And that's listening, and it's talking with the community. And critically, and especially with the people you don't agree with, right? Have those, and sometimes it's an uncomfortable conversation, right? But we share more in common than anything we disagree on, right? And so we can't let those little differences on policy or what we do. Our kids are on the same sports teams. They're going to the same schools. We agree on 90% of the things, right? We could sit down at a barbecue and have a hot dog and get along just fine. We just can't let those things get between us, right?
I agree. One of the things I've said, I think I talked about this with Brian, was, we have the entire world out there, and all of these people have chosen to live in this small community. That's something that's a commonality that is very important. And you're right. Sitting at the same barbecue and having conversations, you don't always have to agree, do you?
Right.
All right. So we talked a little bit about the negativity and some of the things that are going on. What do you think is going well at Wilson? Is there anything you're really happy with?
Yeah, I've been attending the facilities committee meetings.
Okay.
Scientific background, I like how things work, right? And the facilities is really where a lot of things are getting done. And our director, Jeff Simcox, I think is doing a phenomenal job. I think we're lucky to have him in the district. I know on numerous occasions he's saved the district a considerable amount of money with the order of operations or how he's done things, and we're grateful to have his experience. Yeah,
that's great. So as you've been involved in that, is that one of the facilities management? Is that something that you would like to see yourself be able to be involved in as a board member and kind of take some real hands-on approach to that?
Yeah, I think that's an area where I'm keenly interested in, right? And I think, right now you have your chair and co-chair, Mr. Negrini and Mr. Case, sitting in on some of those meetings. I think they've done a good job with some of the discussion. I'd like to continue that legacy.
That's great.
Yeah.
Perfect. That sounds good. So you talked a little bit about the education aspect of school. There's so much going on, and there's been a lot going on, but one of the things that we've seen is that the education itself, that the results of the students in the schools is not what it's been. And you talked about that a little while ago. That public school report where Wilson was in the bottom 50%, I have to imagine that's one of those things that you looked at that and said, this is not my Wilson. Right,
exactly. I mean, Wilson is kind of the gem of Berks County, right? Everyone wants to move here. They want to be in the district. They want our kids going here. We hire amazing teachers. We really do. Teachers want to be at Wilson. So where's the disconnect, right? We have these considerable resources. Why aren't we getting these results, right? And maybe it's curriculum, maybe it's policy, but I think we should be trying new things, right? And some of those things are, maybe you group some groups by ability, right? And maybe it's not every grade. Maybe it's some grades, maybe it's only some subjects. But I think we need to look at doing something.
Not just stay the course,
right?
That's a lot of consistency from a lot of your fellow candidates have said that. They're like, what we're doing. Anybody that says stay the course, they're not looking at the graphs. They're not thinking long-term plan, and we need to make some adjustments.
And it brings up a point. It's not that I'll have the answer for every issue, right? But it's about hearing from the stakeholders, right? Listen to the teachers. What are the teachers saying? What are they see on the front lines that say, hey, if maybe we did it this way, we'd have a better result. Having those conversations about that. And, we don't have all the answers, but there's subject matter experts that do, and we should hear them.
And listen to what they say.
Yep.
Sounds great. So we've talked about a lot of things. We might come back and do some more of these, but is there anything else that is in your mind that you're like, I want to make sure we talk about this tonight, John? Like, this is an important one. Is there anything else that you want to go over?
Really, it's that respectful community engagement, right? And as I went door to door canvassing before the primary election, I mean, that can be kind of a daunting task, right? To go out to hundreds of houses and just meet random strangers. But it was actually very rewarding, right? You meet all these people in the community from different backgrounds and to hear their stories. And sometimes people had a lot to say. Sometimes they didn't. There were some common themes that came out, right? A big one was the taxes, the finances, right? Seeing this burden that's potentially on the horizon of this 4%, 5% year after year. There were a lot of concerned people about that.
Well, I can understand why. Especially because the way I understand it is a lot of the taxpayers that don't have students in the school, the school doesn't afford them a lot of input.
Yeah, that's similar feedback, right? And not everybody, some people weren't as receptive to understanding about what's going on the board, but they understand the taxes, right? So if they don't have a child, we still have to be considerate of all the community, right? It's everybody. It's the whole district. It's their administration, your teachers, your staff, your support staff, your students, parents, but also the community members that their children have come and gone. But we have to consider everybody.
I thank you. Thank you for taking the time, and most importantly, thank you for doing this. I know that it takes a lot of time. None of us have a lot of extra time anymore. Free time is very, very limited, especially when you have 3 boys and you're running them from here to there. I have 3 girls, run them everywhere too. I get it.
Yeah.
So thank you for taking the time out of your family's time to do this and to help give back to the community that you obviously care about a lot.
No, I appreciate it. Thanks for the interview. But yeah, it's something I believe in. I think we need to give back to our community. It's where we live. It's where our neighbors live, our friends live. I think we can all do a little better, be nice to each other.
Excellent. Thanks a lot, Keegan. I appreciate you coming out. That'll do it all for this evening. Please reach out, or please pay attention to the next one. We have one more video to put out, and then we'll see about getting around too. Thanks a lot. Have a great day.